Hello everyone, welcome back to another ranking video. I know it's been quite some time, but this is the video I've been promising. Many people requested it and I've finally done it. Ranking the studio albums of Rush. Now a lot of people know Rush is one of the most popular bands of all time. They could be considered a prog rock band, it could be considered a prog metal band. Either way, they're a huge influence on a good majority of hard rock and metal artists, including myself. One of my favorite bands of all time, and the reason this took so long is because it was so hard for me to rank these albums because another band that I don't believe ever put out a really bad album. I mean, there's albums that I don't really pick up that much to listen to, but a band that really never really put out a really bad album. So Rush released 19 studio albums over their career, and unfortunately, I don't own one of them, but I'm very familiar with it, and I owned it. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I lost it or what's going on with it, but I don't have it right now to show, but I will still be ranking it as it is a very decent album. So getting right into it. Coming in number 19 for me, this is Hold Your Fire from 1987. Very 80s sounding, a lot of synth on this. Did have one hit single with Time Stand Still featuring singer Amy Mann, which traded vocals with Geddy Lee on it. Yeah, for me, it's just probably the last album from them I'd grab. I mean, terrible album cover art, just not good. Okay, coming number 18. This is from 1989. This is the follow-up to Hold Your Fire. This is Presto. In this album, you can hear Rush kind of get away from their 80s synth past and get more, into hard rock. Not too many elements of prog. But again, not their finest moment. Nothing really off here that memorable. No hit singles, no videos came from this that I remember. Again, not the greatest artwork. You kind of got all the rabbits out there coming out of the hat. The title Presto. Guess it's kind of reference to a magic trick. Okay, coming at number 17 for me. This is Power Windows. Power Windows, again, very synth sounding. 1985, dropped right down in the middle of the 80s there. Kind of their second album from the 80s, not their second overall album in the 80s, but the second one where they really changed their sound. They weren't as proggy anymore, but still the lyrics were still great. They were just, there was more keyboards and more synth as opposed to as much bass and guitar. The Big Money is a great song, which opens it. That was the hit single off here. But overall, the rest of the album is kind of forgettable. Some of the songs are a little too long, like Marathon runs over 6 minutes, but every song over here is, basically over 5 minutes. So it's a little too long of an album that doesn't really keep your attention. Okay, coming number 16 from 1991. This is Roll Your Bones. Roll the Bones. This is the first Rush album where you hear them get back to their roots. Is followed up Presto, and this was more of a darker album, a little more hard rocking. The synth is basically gone on this, but again, not too many memorable tracks on here. Bravado's decent. Roll the Bones, the title track's probably the best off of here, but overall, not the strongest Rush album. Okay, coming number 15. This is the follow-up to Roll the Bones. This is Counterparts, released in 1993. And this is one of those albums they always see in a dollar bin. But it's not a bad album. It's, again, darker. The lyrics are a little darker on here. Again, a little too long. Animate, stick it out, cut to the chase. I wish they would cut to the chase on this album. Kind of hurry it up a little bit. Overall, it's an okay album. Again, not Rush's best. But I feel like Rush kind of lost their way a little bit there in the late 80s to early 90s. And it was just a hard time for the band to keep up to date with the music that was going on, especially this was dropped right in the middle of the grunge and alternative rock scene. Okay, where are we at? Number 14. Number 14 from 2002. This is Vapor Trails. I feel like this is the album that really brought Rush back to the forefront. The Rush were touring arenas again. This came out at basically the height of nu metal, and Rush showed that they still have what it takes to be a rockin' band. This album gets a lot of shit, but I like it. There's some good stuff on here. One Little Victory opens it. Ghost Rider's decent. The title track, Vapor Trail's amazing. Freeze and Out of the Cradle ends it. It's really good stuff. But yeah, this is the album where I feel like Rush They definitely went back to the roots and they became legendary. It's hard for me to explain, but I feel like the drought they had during the late 80s and 90s was a little tough, but this is the album for me that really put Rush back on the map. All right, coming number 13, Snakes and Arrows. This was released in 2007. Really good album. I like this one. Never really liked the cover art. I don't like the digipack, but whatever. It's more about the music. The only thing I will say is this CD runs a little long. They definitely use up the span of a whole CD, clocking in at close to 80 minutes. Yeah, there's some decent songs there. Nothing that really stands out, but some stuff like what's on here? The Way the Wind Blows is decent. Good News First, Malignant, Narcissism, Faithless. Some tracks that hold out. I do like the back cover though. I think that's really cool. I like the cover art better than the front. Okay, where are we at? 1987. Coming number 12. This is from 1996. This is Test for Echo. Another album gets a lot of shit, but I like it. Driven, the one hit single off of here. I love that song. I think it's great. I think it's for the time it came out, I think it really hits. A heavy song. Alex's guitar work on there is amazing. But I always had a love for this album just because it was one of the first Rush albums I ever bought when it came out in 96. But there's just some really good stuff on here that I just got, grew to love. Obviously, just song Driven. What else on here is decent? Time Emotion's good. Totem, Virtuality, Limbo, and Carve Away the Stone, which ends it's really cool. Again, I don't say it's the best cover art, but I like it. I like the way the colors flow. See, there's kind of like some stones there forming a man. Okay, coming in at number 10 is the one album I don't own, and it's the last studio album that Rush ever put out. It's Clockwork Angels. Again, I have it somewhere. I just couldn't find it, which I think might have misplaced or lost or something because I keep everything pretty organized, as you can see behind me. But yeah, it came out in 2012. Great album, and I think it's a decent album for Rush to go out on. Features the one single that was released already was Caravan, which is a pretty decent song, and the ending song, The Garden, is my favorite off that album. Such an amazing song and such a great way for the band to go out and to remember Rush. Again, Rush, obviously, with the death of Neil Peart, they aren't going to continue, but they did retire before then, and but there was always a chance of a reunion, as you see so many bands do, like Motley Crue. But yeah, such a decent album, Clockwork Angels, coming at number 10 for me. Okay. I lost my count here. That was coming at number 11, I'm sorry. Coming at number 10 for me, Grace Under Pressure. This was released in 1984. First album by Rush that really they, went full force with the synth. Not as much rock, more poppy, but it definitely got that 80s sound. But still some decent tracks in there, like the opener, Distant Early Warning, The Enemy Within's cool. Kid Gloves is, kind of odd, but it's not that bad. And Between the Wheels ends it. I do like the cover art. Rush would embark on a huge world tour behind this album. But again, they kind of lost some of their fan base. Especially not the diehard Rush fans who still stuck with them, but the more, hard rock and musician types kind of just, they kind of lost them with that. Okay, coming at number 9, the debut album from 1974, self-titled. This is Rush. Great album. I love this album. The only thing I wish is that Neil Peart was on this album. Yeah, he did not start with the band, which a lot of people may not know. John Rousset plays drums on this. Finding My Way, which opens, is great. Need Some Love, Here Again, which are doing a very hard rocking 70s metal album. 70s metal, not traditional metal. And it ends with Working Man, which in my opinion is my favorite Alex Lifeson guitar work. I just think it's amazing. Such a hard rocking song. And it was a minor hit for the band. They do still play it on FM radio here and now, but not as much. I think more recent, now that Rush has become such a legend. Okay, coming number 8. This is Caress of Steel. For me, this is the full-on dive into prog rock by Rush. Bastille Day, which opens it, I think I'm going balls. Lakeside Park, Necromancer, and Fountain of Lament. Um, Fountain of Lament, I believe, took up like the whole second side of the LP. Very underrated album by Rush. I feel like this album doesn't get a lot of love. Could be because there's not really any radio tracks on here. It's not, critically acclaimed as the other albums they released in the 70s. But yeah, really good album. This was released in 1975. This is their third ever release. Okay, coming at number 7. Their sophomore album. This is, Fly By Night. Obviously, it features the hit single, title track. But there's some really cool stuff on there that Rush still plays live, like Anthem, Beneath, Between, and Behind. It's probably my favorite track off of this. By Tour and a Snow Dog, clocking in over 8.5 minutes, is great. And then it ends with In the End. Again, you hear the prog starting to start, but there's a lot of hard rock on here. But this is the first album to feature Neil Peart on it. And just really, really amazing stuff. Okay, coming number 6. Signals. Released in 1982 after the huge success of Moving Pictures. There's some really good tracks on here. Again, a different Rush sound, but not too much as they would, discover later on in the 80s. Subdivisions, which opens it, is one of my favorite Rush songs. Great. The Analog Hit, another hit off of here. Digital Man, and really cool. It almost has like a reggae vibe to it, like a reggae influence. New World Man, another hit off of here. Really cool album. Again, this gets a lot of hate by the Rush diehards that love the 70s stuff because they start to change their sound starting with this album. But I think they changed it and they still did some decent stuff. Great lyrics as always from Neil Peart. All right, now we're getting into the top 5. This was really hard for me to do, to rank these 5 albums. And as everyone probably realizes, the Rush fans know the next 5 albums, but they don't know the order because they're widely regarded as some of the greatest Rush albums of all time, some of the greatest prog albums of all time. So this is how I ranked them. Coming number 5 for me, A Farewell to Kings. Yeah, great album. I mean, the opening track, which is, the title track, Xanadu, is amazing. Obviously, the hit Closer to the Heart, such a cool song. And it clocks in under 3 minutes. It just drives it to the point. Cool commercial song. Cinderella Man, Majorjo, and it ends with Cygnus X1, which is amazing. Again, this is just full-on prog rock. Even Closer to the Heart, you hear the keys on that, you hear the acoustic guitar. Just amazing. Okay, coming number 4 for me, Hemispheres. Kind of a weird cover there with the naked man. But anyway, this continues where Farewell to Kings left off. Opens up with Cygnus X1 Book 2. Which is also titled Hemispheres, broken down into Prelude, Apollo, Dionysus, Armageddon, Cygnus, and the Spear. And yeah, that would basically take up the whole first side of the vinyl. You flip it over, it opens up with Circumstances, The Trees. Such a cool song. I always love The Trees. And ends with one of the most complex rock instrumentals of all time, La Villa Strangiato, clocking it over 9 minutes. And the fact that these guys actually performed La Villa Strangiato live is just amazing. I mean, Rush were just geniuses. No one could touch them at this, and they were just on the up, and they were just, keep going. This was released in 1978. This was released, and such a great album. Man, so good. And the follow-up to that would be this album right here, 1980's Permanent Waves. For me, this is one of my favorite albums. I always used to say it was my favorite Rush album, but recently it got replaced by another Rush album, which I always loved. But I used to always say this is my favorite Rush album. And it opens up with one of my favorite songs of all time. It still gives me chills. It still gives me goosebumps when I hear it, The Spirit of Radio. In my opinion, it's one of Rush's greatest songs. Obviously not instrumental-wise, but I'll stand by it. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. Free Will, another great song. Such a great message in the lyrics there. Jacob's Ladder's great. Entre Nous. Different Strings, and ends with Natural Science. Another amazing prog rock song. Yeah, such a great album. And I just love the cover art, everything about it. It's so good. Okay, coming number 2 for me. Probably Rush's most well-known album. Their biggest seller. This is Moving Pictures from 1981. Features their most famous and popular songs. Opens up with Tom Sawyer, which is probably the one song that everyone knows when you hear Rush. Red Barchetta. Really cool song there. Kind of a true story, written by Neil Peart, as are mostly all these lyrics on all these albums. YYZ, really crazy, cool proggy instrumental. Limelight, another hit single off of here. And then just ends with full on prog with The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and Vital Signs. Such a great album. Just for me, the only reason I didn't rank this number one, is I think a lot of people do, is I like stuff off Permanent Waves a little bit better than this. And I've listened to this so many times, I feel like it's a little overplayed. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure these other tracks are overplayed a lot, but just for me, I don't put this at number one, although it's an amazing, flawless 5-star album. But for me, at number one is 2112. For me, this is the album that just made Rush who they are today, and made the legend of Rush. I mean, when they put this stuff out, the record company just, they shook their heads. Like, this followed up Caress of Steel, and they were just like, what the hell is this? And it worked. I mean, the instrumentals on here were just amazing. Neil Peart's lyrics, insane. It opens up with the 20-minute title track, which takes up side one, and such an amazing song. Broken down into 7 parts with Overture to Temples of Syrinx, which is my favorite part, Discovery, Presentation, Oracle, Into the Dream, Soliloquy, and it finally ends with Grand Finale. Then you flip it over. Starts with a passage to Bangkok, which has that Asian, guitar work on it. In the Twilight Zone, Lessons, Tears, Something for Nothing. But, I mean, Caress of Steel might be Rush's full dive into prog, but this is the album. This is the one that made them the prog superstars that they are, in my opinion. Such a great album. I mean, introduced their iconic symbol there with the naked man, just that star, and just look at that album cover, 2112. It's so basic, but yet so much to see in there. Yeah. Great stuff. Rush, one of my favorite bands. Like I said, those top 5 are so hard to rank in order. And Signals, actually top 6 for me, were so hard to rank. But I want to go, recap real quick. Coming at number 1, 2112. Number 2, Moving Pictures. Number 3, Permanent Waves. Number 4, Hemispheres. Number 5, A Farewell to Kings. Number 6, Signals. Number 7, Fly By Night. Number 8, Caress of Steel. Number 9, the self-titled debut album. Number 10, Grace Under Pressure. Number 11, which Clockwork Angels, which I don't have here to show. Number 12, Test for Echo. 13, Snakes and Arrows. 14, Vapor Trails. 15, Counterparts. 16, Roll the Bones. 17, Power Windows. 18 is Presto, and coming in last for me at number 19, Hold Your Fire. Again, such a great band, so hard to rank. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree. Some people may agree, some people may have one or two different than mine. But as always, it's just my opinion. It's not set in stone. Doesn't mean it's facts. And I'd like to see your ranking. Please leave in the comments. And if you like this video, please subscribe so you can get updates of every time I upload a video. I've just been really busy with my band and writing music and stuff like that, and playing some shows for the first time in 14 months. So I haven't been able to make as many videos as possible, but they are coming, and I'm trying to do my best, trying to get them out there. And as always, thank you every single person that's watched. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it's not your cup of tea, that's fine with me. I appreciate you watching. And as always, head over to Instagram if you want to check out some of my collection. I post a lot there. It's at Gary of the Elysiums. And yeah, thanks for watching. Everybody stay safe.